Okay, so we've come a long way with cyber law, but where exactly are we as a profession with cyber law? I think 10 years down the line, we are now at a situation where, as a practicing attorney, if you don't know what cyber law is, in my humble opinion, you shouldn't be practicing, because there are so many aspects relating to the law that intersect with cyber law. Now, cyber law can deal with electronic communications. It has maybe something to do with intellectual property of your client. It can even have to do with your own risks in your own practice. I'm sure we've all heard the recent decision where a law firm was held liable for a payment that was done fraudulently, and they lost quite a lot of money. So the point I'm trying to make, and I'm quite glad I don't have to put up a presentation, is that the cyber law or ICT law is the here and now, right? If you don't have a laptop in 2023 and you're practicing law, you shouldn't be practicing. If you don't have a social media website for your company, right? You're not doing justice to your company. The rules were relaxed. If you don't have a proper website for your firm, you're not doing justice to your practice either. So the short and sweet of what I'm telling you today is cyber law is for all of us. Make sure that if you have not been following the developments in cyber law, get a course, get a refresher, do something, get with the program, and get with the change in the legal profession. Thank you.
What is important is, to me, again, the issue that because of the continuous changes in cyber law, it is essential that there's continuous training and education offered to practitioners. And perhaps some form of compulsory education needs to be there because of the risks associated with technology as it comes. The one example of such risk is that ENS case that has been spoken to about or referred to. There's, for instance, what I learned from that case, something called business email compromise, which I knew nothing about up until I read that case. So there's a whole lot of things that are coming through. There's a lot of changes that are coming every day. We need to be educated about that. The risks are very high to one's practice, to the insurances as well, and hence it is important for LEAD, amongst other organizations, to ensure that practitioners are well informed and well educated in respect of this topic. I will end there. Thank you.
So, being ready for change, I've just titled it Law Practice in South Africa, Keeping the Doors Open. And I haven't just prepared on IT, but it's more a thing about getting back to basics. No matter what we do, whether we're dealing with ChatGPT or whatever, it's getting back to basics. So I tried to work out, after I had all my information, I tried to work at an acronym, and I came on the acronym PROTECT. And those are the key areas to protect as far as moving into change and being ready for change and keeping open your practice doors. We won't, because of time constraints, discuss all of them, but the P is for practitioners, looking after practitioners and health and so on. The R is for RANds, finances. What do we need to do in our practices? And it's once again getting back to basics. A good sports coach will tell you, get back to basics. When you make a tackle, make a tackle. When you pass the ball in a proper way. So, and then the O is for others, the organized professions, product and services. The T is for technology, where we seem to be sort of around today, so I'd like to just make 1 or 2 points about that. The E is for energy and other supplies, because energy is a huge problem for us in practices. You know, we hear about the LSSA talking about sustainability. We hear about the Legal Practitioners Fidelity Fund talking about sustainability. The LPIIF want to charge premiums because they want to be sustainable. Well, what about me as a sole practitioner, or me as a practitioner in a small legal firm? I need to be sustainable. And the more of my money you take, the less sustainable I become. So that's maybe something that we need to say to the powers that be as a representative organization on behalf of the profession. We have to also make provision for extra energy, electricity. So what do we do about load shedding or power outages? And then finally, contingency planning. There are always risks involved and so on. We've heard some of the risks, cybercrime, etc. And then it's about building trust, still all of this, no matter whether we're using ChatGPT or whether we're using Harvey or whether we're using Co-Counsel, whichever IT we use, the thing is we've got to build trust, and courts must be able to rely on us as officers of the courts, etc. So I'm not going to spend time on staff, but have a look at that. We need to stay healthy. We need to keep our exercise regime. We need to get enough sleep. It's not even on the slide. We need to eat healthy and all those sorts of things that's in there. Finances, get back to basics. You need a budget and you need to know cash flow. Your budget and your cash flow differs. A budget is for income and expenses, and you can have income and no cash flow. And you need to be able to deal with that. So a couple of points made on the slides about that. And then the other thing, the O is for others, to know that we're dealing with people. So clients, remember we serve clients. We serve clients. So their perception matters. There's a slide where I talk about the penguins a little bit later on. And one of the points that one of the speakers makes is he says, when we're selling a divorce or when we're doing divorce for clients, you as an attorney are selling particulars of claim, you are selling consultations, you're selling whatever you're selling hopefully you're going to get a divorce order in the end. You know what your client is buying? Your client wants to buy happiness. They're in an unhappy relationship. So there's a value that they attach to the practice that's different to the value that you are trying to give them. When you do a will, you're drafting a piece of paper. They don't care how long it takes the will. They don't care about the law and the trusts and all the intricate things that we have to go through. They want peace of mind that when they're gone, things will be fine. So they are buying peace of mind, but we're selling a legal document. So, and the services so think about clients. I don't want to go into too many of the other aspects there, but speak to your youth, speak to colleagues. The LSSA, we need an organization like the LSSA. We've got to make it work. I'm hearing this morning about provincials and the problems that we're struggling, we have to make it work. We have to make it work, because without that, we are not going to be able to build sustainable legal practices. You would have seen from our president's report this morning that 85%, I think it's on page 7 roundabout of that report, is indicating who are the small practices and who are the larger practices. 85% are sole practitioners. You need to survive. So when I say I've used ChatGPT, I've used it because in my firm, I need a cost-effective, something that's going to cost me little or close to nothing, but that I can still stay competitive when I speak to other people. And that's the important thing. And of course, we get involved in training and mentoring people. That's how you ensure sustainability and how you are quickly develop a feel for people. So go speak to Ogilvy at Lead LSSA. There are some firms, even large firms, that make it compulsory for the attorneys to actually provide professional training to colleagues. Why do they do that? Because it's keeping you on the cutting edge of technology and so on. So it's an important thing. Listen to the regulators. Who of you do not read the circulars from the LPC? Or oh, at least one honest person in the building. Okay, yeah, well, so I suppose if you create the circulars, you don't have to read them because you know what's in the button. Okay. So read it. Listen to what they're telling you. Read the correspondence from the LSSA. If you're not receiving correspondence from the LSSA or LPC, there's something wrong in your practice. Make sure the LSSA, somewhere it's been, the email has been blocked or whatever, but listen. I like telling candidate attorneys when I speak to them and colleagues, a rule a day keeps the legal practices counsel away. So I think it's necessary to know what goes on. But I want to speak to you just about this couple of things that we recently, and I'm going to be cut short in a moment. But the Coastal Winelands Attorneys Association recently invited Mr. Sean Jardine to come and speak to them in the Western Cape, and he spoke, and he calls his company the Big Yellow Penguin. And he actually brought along this penguin and spoke to us. And some of the things he speaks about value-based pricing. And he says the thing is, what is the value that the client is getting? It differs. If I provide legal service to you, on the one hand, it might differ from when I go and deliver the legal service to someone else. The value they perceive is different. And that might help us with our Section 35 problematic. So I've put the references there because I knew there wouldn't be time. But there's a lovely podcast with a full interview on there to listen to. There's a YouTube video. There's a book, Our Iceberg is Melting. And for those of you that are lazy to read, there's a little YouTube video that sets out the whole story. They play it out in animation. Go and have a look at that because it's going to give you a lot of information. Or just let's think differently about things because we've got to adapt to some of the things out there. Otherwise, we are going to be surprised by it. Thank you very much.